Hey friend, welcome to Ask Dr. Betters. One of the more typical questions that I get is, how can I trust God? How can I trust Him when everything in my life is going wrong? It seems like no matter how hard I pray, God does not listen to me. Everything I ask for is denied, and my life is coming apart. Such is the nature of this question, coming from someone who really seems to be heartbroken over his or her life. It says this: I'm 19. I've lost everything. I blamed God when I asked for His guidance on financial matters and watched it drain away, knowing there isn't any food at home. How can I trust Him when He leads me into wreckage? I would have done better with my own understanding. First of all, thank you for being so honest and so transparent. I really appreciate that. One of the greatest books in the Bible is the oldest book in the Bible. It's older than Genesis. It's the story of Job, who appears on the pages of the Bible. We read his story in many chapters, and then he disappears. Job one day was raising his children. He was a righteous man, and he came to consecrate his children to God with burnt offerings, etc. And he says, I'm doing this because it may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Job did this continually. Now, God blessed Job. He had money, he had health, he had power, he had 10 children, he had a great family, but he didn't know that something was going on behind the scenes that he could not see. And this is what I want to encourage you, the questioner, to keep in mind. Here's the story. Behind the scenes, in the spiritual world, it tells us in chapter 1 of the book of Job that there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Get the picture? The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it." Now the Bible tells us elsewhere that Satan roams like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. The Lord said to Satan, now get this, "Have you considered my servant Job?" God's giving him insight. God's saying to Satan, here's somebody you could go after. Here is Job. There's none like him on the earth. A blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house, and have increased him in the land, blessed the work of his hands and all of his possessions?" But Satan says, "Stretch out your hand, God, and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, and this is what I want to say to you, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Now here's the picture. Satan's roaming about looking for somebody to devour, and he appears before God. Notice the power that he has to appear before God at the gate of heaven. God says, "Where are you coming from?" He says, "Roaming the earth. And I've not been able to tempt or to deal with any of your people because I haven't found one that is righteous and upright." Have you considered Job? Imagine if you were Job, knowing what's going on behind the scenes here, knowing what this conversation was going to lead to. You wouldn't appreciate it very much, God saying, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one like him." And Satan says, "But you got a hedge around him. You've got a wall around him. Take that wall down and he will curse you to your face." Now God says this to Satan: "Do not touch him," meaning his relationship to me. "Do not kill him. I'm not giving you the power to kill him, to destroy him, but I'm giving you the power to go ahead and I'm going to take that wall down and you can touch everything that he has and he will not curse me." So the story of Job is the story of one by one God removing the bricks from this wall of defense that he had put around Job. He touched his health, the disease of elephantiasis, horrible disease. He touched his children, killed them, all in a disaster, a human disaster. Took all 10 children. He touched his wife, who began to question whether or not Job should really go ahead and curse God and die. He touched his health, his wealth, his possessions, his power. The story of Job is a violent story, a story of great destruction. But the key here is that Satan did not have the power to break up the relationship that Job has had with his Heavenly Father. And the story of redemption and renewal is the story of Job, a powerful story. Now, why am I telling you that story? I'm telling you that story because Satan may very well have had that same conversation about you with Satan. And so you've become discouraged. You've become weary in well-doing. The Bible tells us not to become weary in well-doing. To trust God, to lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. So says Proverbs. Could it be that the reason you're going through such difficulty is that the things in your life that you worship as idols, one by one, are being taken away so that you might be drawn closer and closer and closer into that relationship with God? Similar to what Job had, that Satan was not permitted to touch. It seems to me that you're beginning to lose hope, and you're missing the bigger picture of what God may very well be doing in your life, because he wants to greatly use you. And in order to greatly use you, he must deeply break you first. I hope this helps.
Hi, my name is Melissa Weisenfels, Executive Director here at MARKINC Ministries. Thank you so very much for your continued support of this video series. Ask Dr. Betters is not meant to be a substitute for professional counseling, but instead is designed to extract biblical principles around the questions being asked. We encourage you to seek professional counseling if needed.